Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Hope you guys had a great day today. We're going to break down the best tight end in the country. He was named preseason first team All-American by ESPN.com. That would be our boy Max Klare, who we got from Purdue. A guy that it's a great reason we have this transfer portal because he was not highly rated coming out of the state of Ohio. Ends up at Purdue, becomes a very good player there. He's now our starting tight end. So very excited to talk about him. What is going on with winter workouts, winter conditioning? This is kind of the brunt of it right now. Coaches are a little lighter right now. There's no recruiting. It's a dead period, so they can't really get out on the road. Well, they can't get on the road at all. So it's the players getting the screws put to them by Mickey Moriarty. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And we'll take your questions as always. If you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like. Click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. Again, we appreciate you guys as we race to 40,000 subscribers on YouTube. Wow. We don't buy subscribers like some of our competitors do because it looks stupid when you see the little spikes of like 500 in a day, which never really happens in real life. So we are all organic here on Buckeye Scoop, and we just appreciate you guys spreading the good word. Also, if you guys want to help us out in a huge way, give us a follow on Apple Podcasts. We are growing that like crazy. Also, Spotify. They're all completely free. So help us out and help yourself out and get a nice free subscription to the #1 Ohio State podcast in existence. We appreciate you guys. Make sure in the comments you shout out where you guys are watching from, shout out who you guys are watching with, and shout out where you guys want to do our next meetup at. So I think we've got a pretty good idea where it's going to be at, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. So with that being said, I'm going to bring in our #1 transfer portal target, Nevadabuck. Nevada, I think that he might be more valuable or might be better than our left tackle. It's tough because left tackle is such a premium position, but I think as a player that Max Klare is better right now. And he's going to be a huge part of this offense. What are your thoughts on our Purdue transfer, Max Klare?
Yeah, I mean, Cincinnati kid from Xavier High School, and it's funny because when he became available, I had some people kind of come out of the woodwork, and they're like, "Hey, this Max Klare kid's really really good," and I hadn't really paid much attention to him, didn't really know much about him. Talked to a couple of NFL scouts, and they're like, "No, he's like really good, like super talented, like might be the best tight end of the country." And then I'm like, "Well, we probably won't get him." And then Funky Buck of all people came up with a contact that was like, no, he's coming to Ohio State. And sure enough, Ohio State gets the kid in the portal, which is really, for a tight end to come in. The good thing about it was he's an Ohio kid, so he's got a connection, wants to play at Ohio State, but it's not like Ohio State's been like some prolific user of the tight end or has some, history of great tight ends. So to get a kid like this, when you've got a young quarterback, when you've got an offense that's breaking in a new offensive coordinator, I think it's an enormous benefit for Ohio State. And he comes to so highly recommended. It was the kid. There was the safety from Purdue that was in the portal, and when Purdue lost him, that was a pretty big blow. But the people Purdue, to them, Max Klare's the bigger miss, and Max Klare's the guy that they really wanted to hold on to. They really wanted to keep because he was a guy that really bailed them out time and time again. It was there was some insane stat like 47% of his catches resulted in first downs or move the chains or something like that. So he had an enormous impact on their offense last year. Great blocker, great route runner, great receiver, really can do it all. And last year it's funny because we had talked about the transfer portal stuff going on with Michigan and what it'd be like to have Loveland, who we both regard as the best tight end in the country last year. How great it would be at Ohio State if we had a Colson Loveland. Well, we have it now. We have a guy that's a legitimate first team All-American tight end, receiving threat, blocking guy that can play, every down for Ohio State. And just what a great addition to the lineup in 2025. And I think it's going to unleash a portion of the offense that we haven't seen, because we can always talk about great running back play. We obviously, we could spend 4 shows talking about wide receivers, but the list of great tight ends at Ohio State, or tight ends that have been used, to an All-American level, it's really, really small. So I'm excited about Max Klare. I'm excited about an Ohio kid that's coming home, and I think this one's fallen a little bit under the radar because it was the portal, because we were in that unbelievable playoff run. And because Purdue's not exactly known for football, but Klare's a big get. Maybe you could make an argument for him being the biggest get of the offseason. I'm not sure if it's bigger than left tackle, but it's a big one. Anytime you pick up a first-team All-American in the portal, that's rare, and that's what Ohio State pulled off this year.
Especially with Ohio State, just because we've never really used the tight end. Now, we've had tight ends that have had nice careers. Like, I mean, I think Nick Vannett, if he's not still playing, then he might have just been done in the last year or two. But, I mean, Nick Vannett's still rolling along in the NFL. And Jeff Ireman was a good player. Obviously, Cade Stover's going to have a really nice, long NFL career. We've had a tremendous run, obviously, Jeremy Ruckert. Some really, really good tight ends recently. But none of them have been super decorated just because, for whatever reason, even as we go through different coaches and coordinators and whatever quarterbacks, we've never featured the tight end ever. But Max Klare was third team All Big Ten this past year, and this past year, honestly, I don't want to be crazy because someone will put out a date that was or a year that was better, but this is probably the best year in Big Ten history for tight ends, because I mean the guys that were first and second team were obviously Tyler Warren, who had 8 million catches and was the Backey Award winner, and then Colson Loveland, who's a surefire first round pick. So I mean, I always tell people, with all Big Ten and certain awards, you're kind of at the mercy of who's in the conference that year. Not every year is created equal. It's kind of like being a captain at Ohio State or being a captain anywhere. It's there's some classes where it's way harder. Like this year, being a captain on this year's Ohio State team, way harder than being a captain on my team. The year I was a captain, we just didn't have much back. I had more starts than everybody else on offense combined, so I was basically locked in to be a captain, and then we had to appoint another captain and kind of gin it up a little bit. But it wasn't like this year where, you've got guys that, I mean, it's crazy. You're going to look back at this year in 10 years, 15 years, you're going to say, how was Donnie Jackson not a captain? He had 33-year starter and tons of starts and leadership and offensive line and not a captain. I mean, there are a ton of guys, Lathan Ransom, Denzel Burke, Jalen Tulomo. I mean, you've got all these guys that are just easy picks for captains, and they weren't. Jordan Hancock. But I don't know. I'm really excited to see how they use Max Klare, because with Julian Saying being a young quarterback and having a guy that can work the middle of the field, and frankly having a guy that I think I would use a lot in protection, not as a full-time protector, but as a guy that could chip versus fast defensive ends when we have two new tackles, and have him leak out over the middle as a dump off option. I would use that a lot, especially because we're making it two new tackles, and they're not going to be as good of pass protectors as Donnie and Josh Farrar, I don't think. And again, this isn't me being negative, but it's just Donnie was really good. I mean, outside of the Abdul Carter game where I thought they put him in terrible spots, I thought he was obviously magnificent, shutting guys down, and he wanted to get some really good pass rushers down the stretch. And the scheme was excellent too. So, and then, with Philip Daniels presumably being the starting right tackle, he's in a battle with Ian Moore and the other tackles that are left over. How well can he hold up on the edge? Again, we've had excellent pass blocking the last few years, and is that going to continue? Because Josh Simmons is literally going to be a top 15 pick. I mean, he's not going to be able to work out before the draft, but if you look at his tape, he's a top 15 pick. So people see his upside, his athleticism, and he's been an eraser in pass protection. And that's something that I think fans. The problem with someone like Josh Simmons for the average fan, and the reason why you tune in and watch this, is because I don't think people realize how good he was until you've gotten to mock draft season, because he was an eraser. And again, I think part of it is because when guys show up with a certain credential of being a 5-star player and having offers from Alabama and Georgia and Texas and Clemson and the big dogs, then he kind of starts off a little further down the track in terms of expectations. And then when he realizes them, people are like, well, yeah, of course, he was that 5-star. But I mean, Josh Simmons outperformed 99% of the people that were in his class. And he's really, really good. and he was a great player at left tackle. Obviously we had him for half the season until he got hurt. But my point being, and why I'm bringing this up, is that I don't think people realize how good our pass protection was at tackle last year between Josh and then on to Donnie when he took over for Zen Mikulski after Zen got hurt. And then Josh Fryer. Jimmy and Josh are two Josh tackles that we had last year. Josh Fryer hung in there really well. Did a nice job. Not great. He's not great physically. He's the guy that's going to play guard in the league. I mean, he could be a tackle in an absolute pinch, but I promise you he's going to play the guard. He wants to play guard. He's more comfortable at guard. But really, he hung in there and battled. It's not always going to be super athletic and beautiful looking. Like Josh Simmons to watch on tape is beautiful to watch. Like his pass sets and his explosion out of the stance, and he really knows the game well. Where Josh Fryer is more of a lunch pail worker, money ball, get it done. It's not going to be as pretty as Jason Giambi, but you're going to have to deal with a bunch of cheaper options. Like that's what Josh Fryer is. He gets it done, not as proficiently, but he still, had a really great year, and I was happy for him that he was able to finish the year off with a national championship. So Nevada, as we keep getting into this,
hold on. Before we go there, I'm gonna ask you, the Ohio State historian that you are, the walking encyclopedia of Ohio State football, without looking at the Google machine, who was the last first-team All-American tight end for Ohio State?
The last first-team All-American tight end.
Yeah, Tree in the Grove, like you and I have in.
There hasn't been one since I've been. Because K didn't make All Big Ten record. Because we haven't had a tight end that puts with them, and Ricky Dudley went first round, but he didn't. I don't want to say John Frank. I don't think we have to go back that far, but God, in the 90s, that we didn't have anybody in the 90s. I don't think. Ricky Dudley got drafted ahead of Eddie George, but he wasn't. I don't think he had the numbers to be a first-team All-American. Because at tight end, when they only take one guy, there's always some tight end that had crazy numbers. And the guy that should have been it this year by far was Harold Fannin, the McKinley kid from Canton McKinley, who had 100 catches this year at Bowling Green. But they gave it to Tyler Warren, obviously, because he's a Big Ten kid. But I'm sure we've had someone since John Frank, but I won't say John Frank.
It was before John Frank was never a first-team All-American.
Seriously?
Yeah. He was an academic All-American, but never first-team All-American.
I guess.
It was 1970. 1970.
And?
Jan White. Jan White.
Jan?
Jan, don't call me Jan White.
Cruel parents, obviously.
1970. Can you believe it's been since 1970 since we've had a first-team All-American tight end?
Well, like I said, I haven't seen one in my lifetime. I've seen really good players. I've seen guys that were really productive NFL guys, but the problem is it doesn't matter how good you are when you're at those positions. It matters what kind of numbers do you have. What are your statistics? And there's been years where we'd have to stack up 3 seasons in a row to get a tight end that's in the All-American consideration, just because our guys just don't get the numbers. But do you
think that position is the longest? I don't know. I'd have to check it out, but we've had punters and we've had kickers and obviously quarterbacks and everything. I'll bet you tight end is probably the longest drought that we've ever had of a first-team All-American. When do you think?
And it's probably not even close, honestly.
Yeah,
because everyone else there's so because we had Troy at quarterback. I'm trying to think of who was our last first-team All-American running back.
Well, but we've had a bunch of those.
Eddie for sure. I don't know if Beanie wasn't. I don't think J.K. Dobbins was. Ezekiel wasn't.
But Eddie was in the 90s, man. You're talking about you're talking about going back to 1970. That's a long.
There's nobody even close to that, because I can literally name offensive tackles, guards, centers, receivers, quarterbacks, defensive ends, defensive tackles,
punters, place kicker. Nugent, wasn't he first team All-American?
Nugent, B.J. Sander won the Greg Eye Award. He was he was incredible. My freshman year, he was incredible. Then the Packers drafted him. He was brutal. Um, I think they cut him as a rookie. He was like a 3rd-round pick. That's like really high for a punter, especially back then.
Yeah, super high.
Tons of linebackers, tons of corners, tons of safeties. I mean, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, there's nobody even close. I mean, and again, that's why I was surprised when we got him, when we got Max Klare, just because I don't know. I just think that I was surprised because, like I said, it cost us Gronkowski because Gronk visited us in 06 for the Michigan game, and Tressel I think coached his dad at Syracuse, so like that was the connection where Rob Gronkowski came and visited us, and it cost us Kyle Rudolph. It cost us. I mean, there were so many tight ends that were really good players that were from Ohio or that we were in on that they're just like, well, you don't throw the tight ends the ball. I mean, you're just gonna block power your whole life and never get featured. And Kyle Rudolph was a unit. Oh my God, was he good? But he went to Notre Dame, and they featured the tight end, and it was the right business decision. I don't know. I mean, and the crazy thing is, and I know that Joe Royer suffered a terrible tragedy when his mom passed away, but I mean, I feel like he's one of the top 5 tight ends in the country this year too. Obviously, he's at Cincinnati, but I think Joe's gonna have a huge year this year. So, yeah, I mean, there's no way there's another position. You should put that on the message board. There's no way there's another position even close to that. I mean, that might be about like 35, like 20, 25, 30 years, honestly.
Yeah, well, it's just funny because trivia used to be a great fun thing to do or ask trivia questions, but with the Google machine, everybody can just Google and find the answers. But yeah, I thought it was pretty fascinating going through the All American list because I was challenged, I was trying to think about because I thought John Frank as well. I was thinking John Frank had to be a first team All American, and he wasn't. At least from what for all I know, that I got the internet wrong or something like that. But no, I really think it goes back to Jan White. I think it goes back that far because John Frank was, the Buckeyes MVP and a 2-time academic All-American. Obviously went on to he's a doctor now, but no, I don't think he was a first-team All-American.
Now, the real question is, now that you've unearthed this knowledge, is what's the next longest position in terms of drought? Because for some reason, I feel like it might be running back.
I mean, that'd be pretty crazy.
Well, I know we've had Beatty go in the first round and Ezekiel in top 5, but neither of them were first team All Americans. Not that I know of. I mean, Ezekiel definitely wasn't. Beanie wasn't. I mean, it's not quarterback because Troy got it in 06.
J.K. Dobbins was a first team All American 2019.
So he made it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So never mind. I thought J.K. might have made one of the teams because like the thing that's different now, and I don't know what team J.K. made. He might have made all of them. I don't know what team made, but they honor way more All-American teams now at Ohio State. They never used to. They used to honor, if you made ESPN, like when I played, if you didn't make one of the big 4, which were the Walter Camp, the AP, the writers, and the coaches. Those were the 4 teams that counted. If you made any of that, you could make in the old days, if you had made ESPN or Fox or CBS or Sports Illustrated, you didn't get a tree. So that was crazy because there's some people that were salty because they were first team All-American by ESPN, which is a legitimate, company, and they never got a tree but Urban relaxed that. So guys that made like the foxsports.com one got trees, which again, I'm fine with that. I don't care. Whatever. The more the merrier, but it just used to be way harder. And there are some guys that made first team All-American that don't have trees. And under the new relaxed rules, they would actually get a tree. So that's kind of like one of those things where I was just glad that I made the coaches and the ESPN.com. So thank God the coaches team, because that's the most prestigious one by far, is the coaches team. So thank God I made that one. Have you figured out what's the next one?
I don't know what that would be because I was just looking at the list and it's all over the board. I'd have to really kind of vet it out. But I mean, tight end is so far and away the outlier.
Yeah, that's not even close.
It's not even close. Yeah, nothing's in the same stratosphere, which is crazy when you think about it. And so to have a first team All American just kind of fall into your lap, not even a guy that you committed, that you've recruited. But then I think about it and I'm like, to get the type of credentials you need to be a first team All-American, it's hard to get it at Ohio State because we just don't throw that much. And as you know,
Yeah.
so much of these receiving positions are all, about receiving yards. That's the only way they can differentiate because they're not, sophisticated enough to measure the blocking or play
Yeah.
effectiveness. And so it's just how many catches you have, how many touchdowns you have, how many yards you have, and it's just hard to get those numbers at Ohio State.
Yeah, I think that the hardest part is you just have so many tight ends in modern football that aren't really tight ends. They're more like they're receivers, but they list them as a tight end, and their stats get padded because they get the ball thrown them, but they don't really block. They're kind of spread. They're off the ball. They're not inline blocking like type tight ends. So that makes it hard. And plus, like our receivers are always so good that it's like, even if you're a great tight end, like you still like, are you going to be better than Santonio Holmes and Ted Ginn? Let alone if we have like Beanie Wells running the ball or Antonio Pittman or whoever. Like you only get so many touches at Ohio State. And I mean, even we've had like Jake Ballard was a really good tight end. He was a moose in the running game. Oh my God, because he would crush guys in the blocking. And he never sniffed All-American just because he didn't have the numbers. Now he played really well in the NFL and was a good player. And I think Jeremy Ruckert still has a nice career going, and Cade Stover and those guys, but they just don't get the volume of touches. So, but yeah.
Okay,
I'm excited.
hold on. I found the other position that we have not had a first team All-American at since 1970. Ironically enough, 1970 was the same year that we had this position, our last All-American in this position. What position is it?
I mean, you're not counting fullbacks, are you?
I'm counting fullbacks because fullbacks.
You cheater. Yeah, they don't have fullbacks on the team anymore.
Well, but that's the position. And also, we've only had one punt returner ever get first team All-American in the history of Ohio State.
Theodore.
Teddy Ginn, yeah. Theodore Ginn.
Theodore. Yeah, I think he got it in like 04. But yeah, I
love
you got fullbacks. That was going to go on for a long time. There's your trivia question.
And who was the fullback in 1970?
It was Pete?
No, it was John Brockington.
That's a great name.
Went on to become a great running back for the Packers in the NFL.
Yeah. That's an NFL Films name right there.
Yeah, John Brockington. John Brockington in the frozen tundra.
The frozen tundra of Nevadabuck's icy cold heart.
Right. This is kind of fun. This is kind of fun. Kind of going back to a little walk through memory lane there, and you see Burt Carton in there, and it's like All-American, like coaches thing, and the Kids' Choice Best Slime Award there for first team All-American.
Nickelodeon awesome. All-American. I made my kids vote for me over and over again. My kids I didn't have yet. My kids I got their eyelids are taped open, and they're hitting their iPads as fast as possible to vote for daddy. Vote for daddy. Vote for daddy.
Little kids in Cambodia hitting over and over again. This is the best slime, Kirk Barton. You're like, all right, Nickelodeon Choice Award. I love it.
Yeah.
Like, no respect for big old 74, man.
No respect whatsoever. But no, it's funny because I know that these guys all want to. I mean, it'll be amazing to see if we have if in our lifetimes we ever see a tight end at Ohio State get All-American again. Because I mean that's crazy. It's been 50 years. I mean and honestly, that's the only major trophy that we've never won is the Mackey. We've never won it. We've won it our whole way. We've got every trophy that's ever been conceived, and the Mackey is the one where there's just nothing. There's not even a spacer for it. They don't even think it's possible. So, but yeah, it's
if there's ever going to be a year, it'd be this year. It'd be with a quarterback like Sane, with a new offensive coordinator coming in, and with a talent like with Max coming in to do the offense. I mean, who knows? That's what's kind of exciting about 2025 is we just don't know. We had an idea with Chip, because he's had experience calling plays. Obviously a lot of experience calling plays, and it was beautiful. But with Brian Hartline, man, we really don't. We can speculate and we can say we can theorize on what he's going to do, but we really don't know. And that's what makes 2025 fun. And we had one of our great posters on our BuckeyeScoop.com message board had done a breakdown of Texas, like a comparison of the depth charts of Texas and Ohio State, and while the game obviously is going to be a great 1 versus 2 matchup or whatever it is, man, Texas lost a lot too. And if you go position by position, we're right there with those guys. So as much as we lost, that game's not that. I was feeling like they may be a little bit more loaded coming in, but I think we're there at key spots, and that's going to be a heck of a game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they got obviously Arch, but I mean, they're replacing their quarterback, and Arch hasn't played that much. So I think it's going to be fascinating to see what we can get done affecting Arch. And they lost both their tackles too. So, Kenyatta and Caden got to eat because they're going to be starting 2 brand new tackles out there. And it's going to be about what quarterback can manage the game better, not turn it over, and just get it to the playmakers. And we've got way better playmakers than they do. And Texas is really good, but they're also, I don't know. I mean, having JJ, man, it just lets me be at ease. And you're right, though. I mean, we have no idea what a Brian Hartline play call sheet looks like. I imagine it looks similar to last year. Obviously, why would you, mess with something that's obviously not broken? But I just can't imagine Brian's not going to throw it 75% of the time. Because he's got his receivers, man. And I mean, we're going to be like Texas Tech next year. But hopefully, he works to protect the young quarterback. Because if I'm calling the game, I'll be aggressive, but I don't want our quarterback getting hit. And we're going to have 2 new tackles. And those 2 tackles have never played in a game this big, ever. You play at Minnesota and Rice, man. And then you got to play Texas week 1 in the 1 versus 2 game. Like, they're going to be having anxiety attacks walking into the horseshoe because it's going to be lit. So yeah, I would really work hard to protect those tackles and make it easy on Julian, easy throws to start it up. And, I'm just excited to see what these guys can do. All right, Nevada, a couple super chats in the pike. We can get rolling on these. All right. Ken Person, Greenville, Nuts 82. Thank you for the 30. Appreciate you. That is really weird. I've never seen that before. Looks like it's a different currency, maybe. Nevada, do you recognize that? That's kind of funny. Kirk in Nevada. Love your humor and insight for our Buckeyes. It's Abbott and Costello. Nevada, which university was used for the basketball court in the one-on-one movie? I went to school there.
Colorado State.
Conference. Look at
Colorado State. Yeah, Colorado State. Yeah, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of my favorite movies. It's kind of a coming of age movie for anybody that was that played sports back then, and just the whole thing. Just it's the sports, the juxtaposition of the love story, and him kind of sticking it to the man. It was great. I mean, it's really if you haven't seen the movie One-on-One, it's a charming movie, and I think it's one of the most underrated sports movies ever. It's not as good as The Best of Times, which is the greatest sports movie of all time. But it's really, really, really well done. And Colorado State is the answer.
Is it better than Any Given Sunday?
Oh yeah. I mean, Any Given Sunday.
That is a great sports movie.
Yeah, it's just different. It's just a different time. This movie was made in a completely different time. So.
Any Given Sunday is very extreme, obviously, but
yeah, exactly.
But like I love like LT in it. I love Jim Brown, and I love. I mean, Pacino's speech to that is incredible. I was like, that's one of the greatest speeches ever given, man. Oh my god, I used to listen to that before every game. I listened to In the Air Tonight, and I listened to that, and it was like, I mean, it's such a great speech. Oh yeah,
I'm gonna go hoo-yah.
Son of a woman. Is that what you do on third down?
I do. Hoo-yah. Hoo-yah.
Real quick, I want to give a quick shout out to my dude Micah Corey. Sent me some books. Appreciate the books. So I want to shout these out. Characters of Poetry, Micah Corey, MICAHCORY. Appreciate you, my dog. Appreciate you. The Black Dog as well. So make sure you guys get these on Amazon and help our boy out. And find the light. The light is around you. So I've got 4 books I got to dig through tonight. I appreciate you, brother. I just got those today, so thank you. I'm going to dig through those tonight as I'm working away through the night. But I appreciate you, my man. I want to shout that out real quick. Yeah, we have to be humorous on the show because when you do this every day, and I'm not kidding, like Nevada and I across 25 phone calls a day probably talk for 2 hours a day. I'm not even kidding. So like we have to be funny or else we'd probably kill each other. And so when we have big wins and we have Bayern Munich screw us, no matter what, we're always laughing or crying, but we're always going to show up at 7, baby, as best we can. Stacy, what's up, girl? I hope you're doing great. I met a friend of yours yesterday. It was great chatting with him. He was talking about podcasting. He was giving a little bit of advice on where we started at, because when we started podcasting, it was hey, we got 50 views today. This is great. we were breaking down video game simulations, and when we started this site, I mean, COVID hit like right after the site started. So magically, like we opened an Ohio State football site, and there was no Ohio State recruiting camps. There was no football. There was nothing. So we were doing Scoop Dreams, where Ohio State moved into the SEC and played these games, and me and Nevada would sit and watch these simulations over and over again and commentate on them and upload them, and it was bizarro world because there was nothing to talk about. So we had to gin it up as best we could. So come a long way. But I hope that your friend says that he met me. He was awesome, and he said that he loves you and your husband. So I appreciate all that you do. I said that's my girl. She wears our Scoop gear down at the national championship game. So hope you're doing good, my girl. 86 for Travis / Max Klare. So he's catching on, Nevada. Travis Klare, my boy. I love the third down safety valve tight end. Way to have it first. Funky Buck. See, Funky's the man. Nevada OH. Yeah, it's going to be interesting if he's going to rock 86 like he did in his photo shoot, or if he's rocking 7, because in his workout attire, he had 7 on. So I don't know if he's getting the single digit right off Jump Street, but he might be. I know one thing, like those guys kill each other for single digit numbers. That is like the hottest thing in the world when you get it. So I don't know if he's going to be rocking 7 or 86. Of course, there's no up-to-date roster, and I got on the Ohio State 6. I was just looking for some stuff, see if I could put up his bio or anything, and of course we don't have anything. In fact, when you look at the Ohio State coaching staff, literally Jim Knowles, Keaton, Chip Kelly.
It's so bad.
Justin Fry. Yeah, because I was like, let's get on the roster. And again, you can click on, so here's 24. So I clicked on 25, and it doesn't update. It just goes to the recruits. So it doesn't mention any of our new guys, any of our transfer portal lads. And because I was going to put his bio up if we had one, but of course we don't have one. And then I clicked on the coaching staff thing, and it was just like, all right, let's see who's on the Ohio State coaching staff. Oh, it's Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles. And I'm like, and they've been gone for a month now, but I don't know. I guess it's really a busy time of the year at the Woody Hayes to be able to update the old roster and the old the old coaches. But I mean, that's terrible. I'm sorry. And it'll take you 10 minutes to update that. At least take Jim Knowles' name off the site and Chip Kelly. I mean, good God. But it is what it is. It's just kind of funny to me at this point. Adams Prime Entertainment, thank you for the 5. We're doing good, my friend. Speaking of great players, Cameron Johnson versus J.K. Scott was one of the best punter duels I've seen. Did they have steel in their toes? Nevada OH. That was the Alabama game, because that punter was awesome. I think, does he punt for the Packers, or where's he at now?
No, he went to the Packers and then he sucked.
Did he suck?
Yeah, because that game against Ohio State, he was so good.
He's incredible.
He single-handedly, he kept flipping the field with those booming punts, and the Packers got him, and I'm like, this is great. I love this guy. This guy's awesome. I know a punter, and we got him, and the Packers get him, and they couldn't kick. It's like he forgot how to kick the ball, which is kind of crazy because punting seems like one of those skills that would be transferable, right? Like you drop the ball on your foot and it goes. I don't understand. Like there's no other, like when you go blocking from your blocking in college to blocking in the pros, it's different because the guys are different and they run at you differently and they're faster.
Yeah. They're bigger, punting, faster, and yeah.
The balls, it's the same ball, right?
Yeah. No.
It's the same. It's a different ball.
Yeah, the NFL's got a different ball from college.
But is it that much? Is it that much different that it like?
No, it's not that much. It's not that much different.
Yeah, I mean,
You
like,
know,
so, like, all of a sudden you
yeah.
forget how to punt? Like, come on. I don't understand it.
Well, it's like it's weird. Like there's also like a thing I've always noticed. Like when teams take kickers really early, they take like a place kicker in like the second round or something crazy, and how they just like lose. It's like they lose their mind and forget how to kick. Like I would have lost a lot on Cade York. Like I thought Cade York was going to be a superstar for the Browns because he kicked at LSU when they were the best offense in history, and he could hit them from 70 yards in college and whatever. And he gets to Cleveland, man, and he's terrible. Yips all day. Like I think he's kind of in and out of the league right now. I thought he kicked for the Bengals. He missed that one field goal, and Joe Burrow's about ready to kill him. But it's always interesting to me how many of these kickers get drafted high. And when I say high, like the third round, fourth round, and then they stink when they get somewhere. But then how many of them bounce back at the next place? You know, because I don't know if J.K. Scott, if he's with Harbaugh or where he is, but I remember I saw him and I was like, oh, there's the guy from Alabama. You know, because I remember, like, when you remember how good a punter is, it's like, so it's just, but like BJ Sander, my freshman year, had like the greatest punting season I've ever seen. I mean, he would just nail everybody inside the 10-yard line. And this is back when we had the old covered wagon offense where I honest to God think that our offense finished in the hundreds that year. I think we were like 105th in total offense. I'm going to look it up right now. Because like we were so bad on offense in 03 and we had the only guy that we didn't have back was Maurice. You know, we lost Max Klare and it was like our offense went from winning a national title. Now in 02 our offense wasn't exactly dynamite either, but in 2003, man, it was 2003. Where do you think? I mean, do you remember that year in Nevada? We played Washington at home. I'm sure you're at that game.
Oh, yeah.
We played Phillip Rivers. That was a crazy game.
I was at that game. That game was so hot. That was one of the hottest games in the history of the stadium, man. It was so warm.
Yeah, and we were not real good that year. Let me see what we were in. I'm trying to figure out what we were in total offense because it was bad. I mean, we were, you know, we beat San Diego State 16-13. We beat Bowling Green 24-17. I mean, we were just cooking it up. I remember we beat Penn State in Happy Valley 21-20. Ben Hartsock dropped the ball and they called it a catch. This is like pre-replay. It was amazing. And I mean, we were like, and Penn State was terrible back then. Let's see. All right. So we were 75th in the country in points, 24 points a game. So 75 out of 117. But thank God our defense was 16 out of 117. So we weren't in the hundreds. I don't know what our yards were, but our points were 75th in the country. I mean, that's crazy when you think about where we're at now. I mean, now we're like in the top 5 every year, but we weren't that year. It was brutal. That NC State game was one of the craziest games I think I've ever seen. Because I don't think people realized how good Phillip Rivers was until after that year he got drafted after that, and he ended up being a top 5 pick, I think, top 4.
Well, who was the running back that we stopped at the goal line?
T.A. McClendon.
Yeah, he went on to play in the NFL. I mean, like he had more than a cup of coffee.
You know what's funny is like I don't think he did.
Really? I thought he was good.
No. I think he left early, and then he either didn't get drafted or he was. I mean, he didn't do anything in the NFL.
Really?
He left as a junior in 05 and went undrafted. He has no official stats in the NFL.
That's funny how the mind plays trick. I thought he was terrific in God. I remember him being like really, really good and thinking, wow, man, they got some weapons there. But I guess I am misremembering, or maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
So in 02, when he came in, he was in the same class as Maurice Klare. So, you know, he was the ACC Rookie of the Year. He had 1,100 yards as a true freshman in 02.
Yeah, he was super highly regarded. Yeah, for sure.
So, and he was an Army All-American, which that was like the thing back in the days, being an Army All-American. And then in 03, he was he didn't have as good of a year, but I mean, he was good. I mean, he was a load. I mean, he was no joke when we went against him, but he only played 9 games in 03. Then in 04, we played him and he had 770 yards on 167 carries, which is 4.6 and 6 touchdowns. And he declared. and then he didn't get drafted. So he must have ran slow or something. Because I mean, he was
Oh.
5'10", 235, so probably slow. I'd guess probably fat. Let's see what his combine was, because I just don't. I was like you, because there's some guys I'm like, well, that guy was really good, and then he declared and just wasn't any good.
Well, I remember somebody stopped him at the goal line and he sat his butt down right before the goal line in triple overtime to win the game.
Here you go, Nevada. The raw athletic score. Now, mind you, red is bad.
Hold on.
Huh.
Is this one of those segues where Barton's going to like show Barton's raw athletic score there? You're not going to just go segue from this to that, are you?
I was going to show yours, but I don't have enough red ink for yours. So if you want me to, I could get your 40 up there, your 20, and
anybody with epilepsy, do not look at the screen for the back.
It's nothing but red. Red where it says very poor. No, but I mean, this is the NFL Combine. He ran a 4.73. That's why I was like, I thought he like ran slow or was fat or something. I mean, a 1.71.10 is like, that's impossibly slow. That's really bad. So there it is. I mean, 35-inch vert.
Kirk,
what's up?
Did you happen to have your raw athletic score that you can share with us? Do you have that anywhere that you can share with us?
I mean, I can Google it and put it on the screen. Do you want me to? Here, I'll take a screenshot of T.A. McClendon, and then I'll show you what mine was. So you can see when people say, what does it take to be a podcaster? So let me get my raw athletic score out real quick. Let me show you. While you're asking. I mean, I think I've already shown this, but like these are always interesting to look at.
I'm glad you asked, Nevada. I
was just curious.
Have it here on a 3x5 card.
I've been wondering what I was going to get for my first tattoo, and then oh my god, I could put my raw athletic score on there. It'd be amazing, you know. So you come over to your humble podcast host, who's not really that humble. Look, Greene. That means elite. Yeah. They should do one of these for podcasting because everything would be green. Green. Super green.
Super green. Really green.
Yeah. Except for my size is poor. I mean, what the hell? Yeah. Poor. I told you I was a short little midget. I'm 6'4", 3, so I got the poor on that.
It says Kirk, nicknamed Dumpling Barton. They nicknamed you Dumpling?
And my broad jump sucked too. I always sucked at broad jump. I could vertical like out the gym, but my broad jump always sucked. So whatever. And it's funny because my 3-cone sucked. That I ran a terrible 3-cone, and it just, I don't know. I had a bad day running the 3-cone. My short shoulder wasn't even that good that day, but it was still green. So I know you're dying to see that. I also ran 19.1 miles per hour. 19.1. Wow. So when you're running up and down the Strand at Manhattan Beach with your coffee bean, just remember, man, I wonder if I get up to 19.1.
I don't think so. Not unless somebody was chasing me with a spear. I don't think I can get to 19 miles an hour.
Someone's chasing you with a milkshake. This is yours.
Yeah, exactly. This is yours, sir. You left your change.
Someone's chasing you with your unpaid tab. Sir!
Oh, man. Out of Sapphire. running out of there.
Sir, you have to leave a credit card. I have no credit cards. I've
got my raw athletic score here. It's all green. Here, take this.
It's like, why'd you wear track shoes into the club? Oh, because you're gonna run out on
it. Now you know why.
Kirk's still sitting there with his terrible broad jump. He couldn't broad jump out of there fast enough, so he had to pay the bill.
I'm counting on Kirk's poor 3-cone to not get him out of. I'm gonna get out of
there. He's gonna come back and try to broad jump away from everybody. He just barely gets off the ground. It's like an anvil on his feet. Oh my god, jumping the shark. This is the type of the year. This is the time of the year where these guys are in the middle of winter workouts. So I'll give you like a little thought of what's going on right now. These guys are, it is abbreviated. It's totally different than it used to be, but these guys are going to start 6 a.m. workouts in a couple weeks, and then they've got spring break, and then it's right into spring football. So this is totally different. Like before this extended playoff, it was January after the bowl game. Usually give the guys a couple weeks off. Then it's in the gym lifting for 3-4 weeks, doing conditioning, obviously, and then we'd have 3 or 4 weeks of 6 a.m. workouts. So the 6 a.m. workouts they usually suck. I mean, they're mental toughness builders and conditioning and that type of thing. And then you get right into spring football. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ryan manages this. And he's got a tired team, a weary team. But the one good thing that he has is there's not that many guys that are coming back that played a lot. I mean, I'm talking about like played like as much as Jack Sawyer and JT and Donnie. And, there's a lot of guys that should be pretty fresh. Now, our interior offensive line guys are all back. They'll be a little dinged up, but like a quarterback and, obviously Cardell and JJ, but outside of that, it's a lot of guys that should have some pretty fresh legs. So that'll be the running back should absolutely have fresh legs. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he manages these guys and their exhaustion. And then they're getting rid of the spring game finally, and they're doing the spring spectacular or the spring showcase or whatever it is, because I don't even know why they do it anymore. But I think that it's going to be interesting, and they got to fill the stadium up, of course, and get as many people in there and try to make as much money as possible, like always. But Nevada, what do you think the spring game is going to morph into this year?
I mean, it's like some sort of spring showcase where they'll just do it. It'll become like the Pro Bowl, where they'll do like a skills competition and a relay race and a tug of war. That's what it's going to be. Nobody wants to do the spring games anymore because they don't want to showcase the players for other teams, and that's what these spring games have kind of morphed into. I felt like these spring games could have gone one of two ways. They could have gone the way of what we're seeing here, which is the Pro Bowl type of flag football type of setup, or they could have gone to a more serious thing where I always thought spring games should be real live exhibition games against other opponents. I think a spring game where you played Minnesota or something like that in a spring game and actually got a chance to put these guys, especially in a year like this. Last year we had 25 guys on load management because you had so many veterans. Man, this year you just don't have that many. This year's gonna be a lot of young guys all jockeying for playing time, and you really want to see what they can do. That'd be a great way to do it. But I think the portal risk is just too great, and so like you said, you'll have a great celebration of football. It'll be a great day. Hopefully, some good weather, and you'll have some fun out there. But it's not going to be serious football, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that when you do the spring game, the thing that stinks is it used to be a great day for a lot of the kids that don't get to play. That's why I used to like the spring game. I hated the spring game. I never wanted to play in it. I was like, if I get hurt in the spring game, because TJ Downing dinged his knee up pretty good in the spring game the one year. Now he didn't miss any time. He's a tough dude, but I was like, man, if I suffer a catastrophic injury in the stupid spring game, if I get hurt in a regular game, I'm fine with it. That's just the cost of doing business. If I get hurt in the spring game, I'm going to be salty. So I only played in one spring game. But, there's a lot of guys that are walk-ons that never get to play in a game, or they barely get to play. And so for them to be able to play in a game in the Horseshoe in front of their family, I always think that was really cool. Because, again, I don't see that spring game. That's for them young guys that don't play at all. Because, like, when you're old and you've played a lot of football, I don't need to be in a spring game. But it kind of stinks you're going to lose that. So I think that some of these guys would have a chance to, like, make a play, make a catch, whatever. And they'll remember that they caught a ball or made a sack or did whatever in the Horseshoe, which, again, in a regular game, they might not be able to do that. All right. Oh, God, here we go, Nevada. We got another one. Ken Pearson, again, thank you for the 15. Appreciate you, my friend. Only Greene raw athletic score for Nevada is his choice of milkshakes. What's the latest news on our 2025 kicking game? Ooh, I have no clue on the kicking game. I mean, I know that your boy Jaden Felding's back for another year, and I'm sure that he's going to he'll be a preseason all Big Ten-ish type guy, right?
I mean, look. I mean, he had a great season. He had a bad day. I mean, he had a bad day against Michigan, and he had a lot of company. A lot of guys had bad days that day, and but his season up till then had been really good, and his playoff, he was really good in the playoff, and yeah, I know he'll have a good year next year. Punter, don't know what they're going to do. They've got the big Aussie, who's got the big leg, but he's just slow in terms of getting the punts off. But that's the position I worry about the least. That's something you could get in the second portal window really easily. You could get an elite punter, so that might be another position that you look at for them to fill in the second portal window would be punter. But Fielding's going to be handling the place kicking and the kickoffs. I mean, his kickoffs in the national championship game, he didn't give Notre Dame a chance to return them. And I asked Georgia how important that was, because Notre Dame broke up the game with a kickoff return against against Georgia, and he kicked them all out the back of the end zone. So underrated, good skill, and one of the reasons why we clinched that game down.
Yeah, like I said, the Michigan kid's going to be the preseason All-American, but Jaden's got a shot to make some hay this year, and we're probably going to kick some more field goals. We're going to need them because we're not going to be as explosive on offense, I don't think. Not without our two tailbacks. Now, James Peoples will be good, but they're not going to be what Trey was in terms of the breakaway. Now, I hope they prove me wrong, but we're going to need some more field goals this year, so I'll be excited about that. Yeah, I'm like you. I never worry about the punting game because it always seems to work itself out. And you can't get a guy in the second window. It's so weird to me that Jesse Mirko took off last year to go to Vandy, and then he misses out winning a national championship, which it's fine. It happens, but like that'll never not be weird to me, in my opinion. And the guys that left on the team in December, like when they missed out on the greatest month like ever to be a Buckeye, strange times. You have any thoughts on that, Nevada?
Just dumb. And I know, people, the argument on the other side is, hey, they needed to make a portal move because of school or because they needed to reserve their spot or whatever it was. But I don't know. After you've spent years at Ohio State, you've gone through all the rigor. To me, it just screams a lack of faith that they just didn't believe it was going to get done. Because I think if you went to any of them now and said, hey, they're going to win the national championship, would you stay? I think every single one of them would say, yeah. So then it simply goes back to they didn't believe it was going to happen. But it happened, and you never stopped believing. And that's what people got to understand. Like Kirk and I talk a lot. We talk about, what's going on, Kirk was a absolute stalwart belief in this thing. He never wavered in this thing. Not in the darkest hours of the post Michigan game when I was hiding under the bridge and refused to come on the podcast. And like you never stopped believing. And I was there, but your confidence was contagious. There's no question about it.
Well, I mean, my thing is like I was like, even with that debacle at home versus Michigan where we had our worst moment, like I still thought we had better players than everybody we went against, and I thought that losing to Oregon would help us, and I thought losing to Michigan would help us because we didn't have to play in the Big Ten title. The team's they're either gonna win the Natty or they're gonna roll over and die. And like I know Jack Sawyer too good. I know I talked to a lot of people in the building. Talked to a lot of these kids. They're not the kind of guys that want to roll over and die. And again, the only thing they could do to possibly salvage their legacies was to win a national title. And I didn't think that they had a hard road, obviously, with Oregon and Texas and Tennessee at home, but none of those teams were like terrifying to me, and none of their coaches were terrifying to me. Like, it wasn't like they had to run in like, I had to run into Urban Meyer in his prime, which is like, that's not fun. That's like played Michael Jordan in the NBA Finals in his prime, and then people say, well, you suck. And I'm like, well, yeah, I had to go against MJ when he was, the best player in history at his peak. So, like, I had to run into Urban. He's waxed us in that Florida game. So it's like, when I looked at, well, we're going to play Dan Lanning, who I like Dan Lanning. He is a guy that we were high on. We're like, if Ryan goes to the NFL, I'd call Dan Lanning. I still think he's good, but I don't like defensive head coaches. I just don't. I want my guy to be an offensive guy. And I think Dan Lanning gets to skate on a lot of stuff that Ryan Day doesn't get to skate on because he's in like the armpit of the universe. He's in Oregon, the upper left coast of America, where nobody even knows where it is on the map, and they don't exist, and nobody cares if they lose. Where it's like when Ryan Day does anything wrong, he gets beaten to death, not only by the national media, because it's big business to tick off Ohio State fans and Ohio sports fans. Again, if you guys haven't figured that out when you guys watch ESPN and First Take, and that's the reason why they hate on Baker Mayfield and Johnny Manziel and the LeBron. Like, they don't talk about LeBron nearly as much as when he was with the Cavs. When he goes to LA, nobody cares anymore. But it's like whoever's in Ohio, Deshaun Watson, whatever. So when Ohio State loses or they spit the bit, it is just like open season on. Like they trot Ryan Day out to the media firing squad by the national media because it ticks our fan base off, and our fans all tune in and watch it, and they know what they're doing. They know that our fans are very passionate, and they want to digest all of the content that comes out that says how bad we are, how bad we suck. So then they get all spun up and angry about it. But I don't know. I just, I'm like you, Nevada. We bet on damn near everything and sit there. And I was like, well, we're still, even after the Michigan loss, which was an absolute disaster, we still had the second highest odds to win the national title. Still. So, then we get the path that it looked like a really tough path with Tennessee, who, again, I thought Tennessee was good. I did, I thought that, again, in life, we've had a lot of really good things break for us. Like their running back got knocked out of the game, their quarterback sucked. And again, a lot of that was because of what our defense was doing to the quarterback. But they lost their OSU running back. He tapped out early, which is good. Then we play Oregon, and their running back taps out. Their receiver taps out. And I was like, okay, this is, it's starting to break the right way. Like the dominoes are starting to fall. And then against Texas, Texas's first round right tackle spits the bit, and Jack Sawyer zooms past him and kills Quinn and knocks the ball out. And hey, here we go. But I don't know. Like I said, if we had to play like 2019 LSU or some monstrous offense that I was like, oh God, those guys might be tough, then okay. But I didn't see it, And again, we didn't have Saban in his prime. We didn't have like some, the Georgia team from 2021 that had maybe the best defense in college history. There was nothing like that existed on the schedule. So I was like, okay. I mean, it's like in the words of Nevadabuck, if we get a chip in a chair, we've got a shot. And I said, we have better players than everybody we go against. It's not even close. Even with all of our injuries, the scary thing is, if we would have been at full strength, we probably would have been hands down the best team of all time. I mean, if we have Josh Simmons and Seth McLaughlin, we didn't have our Remington winning center and our top 10 offensive left tackle. Like, who knows how high we could have gone up, because we would have smashed. I mean, put Donnie at guard, and I mean, not that our offensive line looked any different. I mean, our offensive line still was eating, but we lost 2 All-American offensive linemen, and we still were able to buzzsaw everybody. So I don't know. Like I said, I always just try to be positive. And like I said, I texted Jack after that Michigan game. I'm like, dude, like, you guys still have the best players, and you get some stuff straightened out and yell at each other a little bit, and the offense gets tuned in. And again, losing can be the greatest thing ever. If you lose and you fix stuff that's been broken, then it's a great remedy. Because again, there's a lot of stuff in life. Like if you're, thinking about losing weight, and you put it off. But then all of a sudden you go see the doctor and says, hey, if you don't lose weight, you're going to die in 6 months. Then magically you put the fork down and you start going on walks, and, you eat fewer quesadillas and more lettuce, I guess, or whatever. And it's like with our defense, with what happened against Oregon, and again, Denzel Burke talked on whatever show he was with Bryant Browning and Chimday, who do a great job about how too many calls, confusion, they cut it way down. The defense got real, not simple, but I mean, they made it to the point where those guys were really sharp at the stuff they ran, and they got more proficient, more pressure, whatever. And then offensively, after the Michigan debacle, like, our running game changed dramatically. More gap scheme, more counter scheme, more power, double teams on the front side, and buzzsaw teams. So again, I've lived it. Trust me. You're talking about losing. I wish that, like the 06 team that I was on, I wish we would have somehow lost the game and still been able to qualify for the title game. Because then, I'm telling you, when you know that you can bleed, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, guys, we got to tighten up. Whereas opposed to when you're just floating through there and you play like crap against Illinois. Then we played really good against Northwestern. Then we played really good offensively against Michigan. But then we go to that Florida game, we get bushwhacked. So sometimes, like, when you lose, like when there's all these glaring areas that need fixed, sometimes it takes a loss for them to really get fixed. And again, that's just sports. That's not an Ohio State thing. That's just sports in general. Without any thoughts on that, we got a couple more super chats.
Yeah, well, look, the underrated goodness was missing the Big Ten championship game. And I'm not talking about even, after losing to Michigan. I'm talking, say we had beaten Michigan, and then we go to play Oregon. Then the second time we're playing Oregon is in the Big Ten championship game. I'm not sure that's an advantage for us. And certainly the way that it broke out, would you really wanted to play Oregon a third time? I wouldn't. So I think, losing that Michigan game, avoiding the Big Ten championship game, get a chance to kind of rejuvenate at home against Tennessee, and then you hit Oregon as they're sitting at, there, and you're getting them the second time around. I mean, it really couldn't have broken much better. And then we get a little bit of a break with Georgia losing Carson Beck out for the year. maybe if they don't, maybe we're playing Georgia in Atlanta for the championship game, and that's even a bigger challenge than Notre Dame. So, hey, just glad we got the title. Unbelievable story, and what a season.
And I thought Oregon winning the Big Ten was the best thing that could happen for Ohio State because they're undefeated. They're going to be the unanimous number one pick for the seeding. And I really thought that they'd be feeling themselves for a month. Like they'd be like, yeah, we're that. And they're going to be on campus and everyone's going to be talking about you're going to the Natty and you're going to win the Natty and you're going to be the first ones to do it. And again, I've seen that in action. I've seen that on teams that aren't strong mentally and they believe it and it doesn't work out good. I mean, so they show up to the Rose Bowl and yeah, we already beat this Ohio State team and we're going to run through them and then we're going to run through the rest of the guys and we're going to go win the Natty and it's 34-0 or whatever it was. I'm just like, told you. I mean, our guys are sitting around angry. They have no jewelry, no hardware. And they took it out on Oregon. And again, that was the greatest thing ever because it just, it circumvents them winning the Big Ten and them having any sort of bragging rights when you just dog walk them, knock them out of the playoffs, and then go win the Natty. So just love it. Don Schaefer, thank you for the 10. Got my national championship, and thank you for being Ultra member as well. Got my national championship jacket from Fanatics. I absolutely love it. Maybe I missed it, but I'm curious about your takes on Spiro's dark video posted on Twitter late yesterday. I have not seen it. Nevada, you mentioned it. Did you see it?
Yeah, nice. Saw the video. Here's the thing, Justin Spiro. If you haven't, if you don't follow his Twitter, you should. Big Michigan State guy, but a serious investigative journalist, like a serious guy, like a real guy. And so when he put something like this out, and what he put out was very ominous for Michigan, with references to Blake Corum, Uncle T, the LLC that Stallions famously signed him onto, and he denied knowing anything about. And so clearly Justin is holding something because he doesn't just put stuff out. That's the thing. I don't know what he's got, but I'm 100% sure he's just not making it up. He's not going for clicks or going for heat or whatever it was. So if you get a chance, it's a little creepy. Don't watch it before bed because it's a little creepy. But if you're a Michigan fan, you certainly shouldn't be resting easy. That's for sure.
People say they watch our show before they go to bed, and I'm like, does that mean that we're like we put you guys to sleep because we're just boring? People say I lay down in bed, I put your show on. I was like, well, I think we're pretty entertaining, but maybe we do put people to sleep.
It's the melodic sound of your voice. You've got that big cuddly voice right there. People's like, it's soothing. It's like a warm, like a mother's embrace or a warm bath or like milk and cookies. Your smooth voice, the smooth point. You're like the Morgan Freeman of the Ohio State podcast world.
I'm like a big mozzarella stick. Everybody, because everybody loves mozzarella sticks, man. That's right. I'm a big mozzarella stick because everybody likes mozzarella sticks. Everybody, they're undefeated. All right,
I don't like
the big mozz. Of course you don't, because you're a hater, and I'd expect nothing less out of you.
I don't like them. I really don't.
You don't like mozzarella sticks. Your kids?
No, I don't think my kids even like mozzarella stick. I don't think. I mean, it's kind of like a sauce delivery device a little bit, but I don't really like them that much. Not a fan.
What do you eat any appetizers, or do you sit there and stew?
No, I'm a big appetizer guy.
You angrily sit there and wait for your main course.
No, dude. I could just order appetizers for a meal. I'm a big app guy, but just I don't like mozzarella sticks. Just don't.
So when they have a sampler that has mozzarella sticks, you just like throw them on the floor and discuss.
I don't eat them. I do not eat. They're always there. You have that big tray, that platter of stuff, and then there'll be like 19 mozzarella sticks there on the right hand side. I don't eat them.
So you just eat like the fried pickles and the wings. Oh
yeah, I'll eat that. Yeah, I'll eat that.
Quesadilla slices and all that, but you don't touch the mozzarella sticks.
I like quesadilla slices.
That's like the first round draft pick of appetizers to me.
No,
but I want to hear in the comments what is the best appetizer, and then also what is your favorite appetizer?
Shrimp cocktail. Shrimp cocktail.
Oh my god, it's nasty.
Oh man, it's so good. Sure. Or better yet, crab cocktail. I'm gonna up it. I'm gonna take it up. Crab cocktail. I like that.
That sounds terrible.
Oh, so good.
You're too high end. Yeah, when you say crab, I think of the crab people from South Park. That's what you say, like the crab people.
I like crab, like some nice blue claw crab. Ooh, I could go for that.
Yeah, but like I don't want my appetizer to cost as much as my car payment. Like I just want like something
Stop!
simple.
Stop, Mister. Oh
Can
yeah,
you fly mine in from Moscow? I want
you're
my beluga caviar. I like beluga
a
caviar
simple
for my
man.
appetizer. Can
Such
you
a
get a side
simple
of
man.
caviar for my
I don't like caviar. Don't like caviar. Don't like it too salty.
Do you feed it to your crabs before they eat them so that they've got the
Come on, a big jumbo shrimp cocktail, like like dipping it in there, like oh man, so good. Little horseradish in there.
I just think that's a sauce delivery device for the horseradish.
It's really good. It's really good. I like shrimp. I like shrimp.
Oh my God. Schaefer Healthcare, thanks for the 20. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for always being on here. Day says we're going to be very active in the spring portal. Where do you see those funds being advocated? Funky thinks defensive end will be a focus. Funky is the best, man, because he's like Inspector Clouseau, man. He's always digging for stuff, and he's like, I think we're after a D end and get Travis Max Klare and everything. So Funky's killing it. Any chance we grab a quarterback, or are they all in on Julian? Nevada, I'll let you go first on this one.
Well, I mean, I think they are for now. If for some reason Lincoln and Julian aren't getting it done in the spring, then that certainly could change. But I don't expect it to. I think I'm fairly confident it's going to be Julian, but he's got to go do it. You know, it's one thing to talk about it. It's one thing to be good and bringing that swagger to the winter workouts. Another thing to get it done on the field. But Ryan's going to be ruthless. But the positions, I think we talked about punter. If there was a great linebacker, I could see them going after a linebacker. If there was a great, defensive back, I mean, basically you're looking to upgrade any position on a great running back. I could see any of those things happening. If they had another great tackle came on, but it's just hard. The second portal, I think you're really looking more specialists or kind of those one positions, and that to me screams more running back, punter, that type of stuff, and I think that's where they'll be looking.
Yeah, I just think that with Ryan, man, he's never gonna rest on his laurels at quarterback, man. I mean, if you're the quarterback, you better be bringing it every day. I mean, there's no real time to wait around because, again, and I've told you this story a million times, but when he went after Drake May after one spring with Kyle McCord, I was like, whoo, that's crazy, but I don't know. Like I said, I respect Ryan for it because, the one thing that makes his life way better is if all of a sudden, he has a first round quarterback. Now, I have no idea who that could be. If you would have asked me, hey, Kirk, who are we going to have at tight end next year? I'd have said, well, Jelani and Will Kazmarek and Bennett Christian. And I would have seen Travis or Max Klare coming, but we got him. But I think that Ryan, and every college football coach at this point, is only as faithful as his options when it comes to the portal. If some superstar shows up and is interested, because again, like if I'm a quarterback that's talented and I'm a quarterback that's got maybe some warts that need to get fixed, like, dude, I want Ryan. Do you see what Ryan did to Will Howard? How he cleaned up his mechanics and made him ultra accurate, proficient, how he humped his draft stock, amplified it, not to mention won a national title with him. Like, why would you not do that? Because like I said, these coaches, they're as faithful as their options. And if some star enters the portal and all of a sudden it upsets Julian Sand, then I mean, if I'm Brian Hartline, I'm like, hey, I've got one shot to call plays. Give me the best possible players that I can possibly get. Again, it would be like Nevada and I have been business partners for a long time. Been good partners. Podcast has been growing. He's been a great host. I've been a great host. Like we work well together. But if for some reason, Jessica Albabuck came into the photo and said, hey, I know that you've been working with Kirk and you're really good friends with Kirk, but I want to start my own podcast. And I want to call it Blue Crush with Nevadabuck and Jessica Alba. And we're going to do a show every night live on the Manhattan Beach Pier. Like,
Where did you get that? Where did you get that picture of me? Where did you get that picture?
Well, I knew that you've been using that ab. You've been using that ab roller and that Bosu ball, and you've been doing
believe you got that.
yoga. You've been doing everything. So I know.
Kirk, I'm supposed to be anonymous, man. You're not supposed to show pictures of me on the show.
You're now outed, and Nevada's salty as can be, like always.
I can't believe you did that. Okay, I can't believe you guys did that. This is so embarrassing.
When you did this photo shoot, did you guys have to rent a real helicopter for this, or no, in the background, or no?
No.
Is that a real jet skier behind you, or no?
Yeah, that's real jet skier. That just kind of let the wind kind of blow the hair and stuff like that. But yeah. Younger Nevada, looking good, feeling good.
So, as I was saying, like, if Nevada all of a sudden is like, I love Buckeye Scoop, it's been real, it's been fun, but it hasn't been real fun. And all of a sudden he's like, Jessica Alba wants to start a podcast talking about, I know what you did last summer. Then I'd be like, I get it. Totally understand it. Bygones are bygones. And that's how it is with Ryan Day recruiting quarterbacks. Like, if there's some guy that falls into his lap, man, Julian Sain's going to be on the first flight back to California, and that's fine. Like I said, I don't get too attached to any of these guys now, because I think that Ryan going forward is going to be an absolute killer, and good. I mean, we're always going to have a top tier roster because he doesn't care about feelings. He wants, he went out and jettisoned our two tackles and brought in two tackles he thought were better. Again, he's literally playing poker at this point, where you can throw back the cards after every single round. Every time someone bets or rebets, like, you can throw the cards back and say, I need a couple more. Hang on, I'm almost to the royal flush. I just throw these two back. Okay, I got four. Okay. Finally I got the jack of spades. So now I got the royal flush. All right, let's lay it down. That's where he's at. So I'm good with it, man. And again, this is why it's fun to cover Ohio State, because we're never going to have a deficient roster again. And it's awesome. Poopy, what's up, brother? Thanks for the deuce. Thanks for being an ultra member as well. For the record, Lathan Ransom tapped them out. Yes, he did. He tapped out Jordan James. He also tapped out the receivers. So I love Lathan, one of the most underrated Buckeyes in the history of Ohio State football. God bless that kid. I hope he has a great NFL career, but he was really fun to watch. Nevada, your thoughts on Lathan Ransom tapping out the Oregon Duckies?
Yeah, well, Lathan, he's going to help. I can't believe that Yoder bet us $2,000 over under 13 draftees. I mean, like, the more I look at that, that's free money.
Oh my God.
That is absolutely, and I think Lathan's going to be the guy that pays you. I think he'll be number 14, and I think he's going to be the phrase that pays is Lathan Ransom to the Cleveland Browns.
I'll tell you what, I was like, I mean, as big of a bet as he'll take on that, I'll go take out a second. I'll take a mortgage out. I'll put my car up. I'll do everything, because I was like, that's free money. 13's a push. Oh my God. Easy. Yeah, easy.
I totally agree.
It's funny. I think teams are too low on Cody Simon. I really do. I mean, like, some of these mock drafts have him in the 6th round, and I'm like, I can't, like, after he does the combine, assuming he runs that. Now, I don't know if any of our guys are going to run at the combine just because they haven't really had time to train, but it just, after pro day, he'll knock off a 4.5, and his interviews will be the best interviews of anybody in the entire draft. Captain, I just don't see how he's not a mid-round pick, because he has no downside, in my opinion. So, all right, Nevada, let's wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts?
No, I'm excited to have a first team All-American preseason tight end. Possibility of having the first team All-American tight end in 50 years or whatever it's been. So
you have to put that on the board. Because that's crazy. I mean, that's something where it's like, it's been 50 years.
Yeah, Yeesh. It's wild. And so, Brian Hartline, if you're listening, get busy. Make sure you get them lots of. We need some stats. We need to win the Mackey. That's the one hole in the trophy case. Let's get it filled this year.
Hopefully, we update our roster in time for the writers to know that he's even on the team.
Oh gosh,
it's like he's been enrolled in school for 6 weeks now.
He got emigged.
He really did. The dumbest human being on earth. All right, let's roll. With that being said, appreciate you guys kicking it with us. As always, if you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. If you guys want to help us out in a huge way, please give us a follow on Apple Podcasts. That is an easy way to help us. We appreciate all of you guys are doing that. Leave us a 5-star review as well. Again, we appreciate all that you guys do. Shout out where you guys are watching from. Shout out who you guys are watching with. In the comments, what's your favorite appetizer? I'm curious. And am I dead wrong on mozzarella sticks? I love mozzarella sticks. I don't care. But I just appreciate you guys so much. Another awesome show, great audience, great chat. So thank you all. As always, appreciate you guys. We will get the next meetup set up pretty quick here. It's going to be fire. Can't wait. So with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. We will talk to you guys very soon. I hope you guys have a great night, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 7:10. Go Bucks.